Good morning, one and all. We have the privilege of interviewing for a few minutes a team of photographers, teachers/teachers who have come to Celebrate Howard with the Eyes on Main Street project. And I'm going to ask you to tell us how you got involved in that project and what is the purpose of that project. Why are you here, in other words? And also do that by first introducing yourselves.
So over there.
Go ahead.
Alphabetical order. You took the first seat.
All right. My name is Ariane Davis.
From?
Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Windy City.
Windy City. That's what I'm talking about. So how I got involved, I graduated from Columbia College. I went to school for photography, studied there. And I'm an alumni. And we went to North Carolina.
I'm sorry, is that in New York?
No.
No.
As in Chicago.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm thinking Columbia University.
Yeah, it's a few alumni out there. But anyway, so yeah, we got involved through the chair of the photography department, which is Peter Fitzpatrick. He is the director of education over Eyes on Main Street. And so they brought us here to Wilson to help teach youth, which is what I do already in Chicago, through a nonprofit organization. It's an after-school program. And so yeah, that's how I got involved. And pass the mic on.
So yes, hi. My name is Juan Hirado. I went to Columbia College in Chicago as well. I hold an MFA degree from their photo department. Peter Fitzpatrick was our chair, and he, along with Laura Bucknett, approached me about 4 years ago in regards to doing a photo after-school program in conjunction with the Eyes on Main Street Photo Festival. And I was like, yeah, I'm all about it. You know, I'd love to be part of it. I had previously taught a summer photo program in Chicago for Upward Bound. And I love teaching, kids of all ages. I've taught as young as 5th grade all the way up to university and college age kids. And like the group that we have today is like one of my favorite age groups. They're always like super engaged, and they just want to know more and more and more. And it's nice. I personally like to just let them kind of do what they want. Let me see what you got, and guide them that way. So they kind of self-guided, and then just help them push them in the right direction. It's a wonderful thing. Off to you.
You're welcome.
My name is Jasmine Clark. I'm originally from California, but I live in Chicago now. I finished my MFA from Columbia College Chicago 3 years ago. I got involved with this project last year. I also had my work. Part of it was each year Columbia picks a person to have their artwork shown. So last year I had 20 of my images from a project I worked during grad school, an outdoor exhibition. And then I was able to also help with the youth program. I really wanted to be part of this as soon as I could. I also teach college. I've taught from ages 4 to, I think my oldest students right now are 19, to I think I have one class of 70-year-old gentlemen in my class. It's been great. I enjoy teaching a lot, and I'm really glad that we came to the school today. It's really great to have also an art program to work with. So now the other programs, we're introducing them to photography. This one we didn't have to introduce, we just did a little refresher so we can actually go into a little bit more detail. And they would be great to actually come out next year and possibly help us out with their programming.
Yeah. So, shout out to that man right there.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Jay Prey. Jay Prey. I said it twice. Okay. Now, do tell us what Eyes on Main Street really is about, after introducing yourself.
Yeah, I'm Sean Larkin. I am the only one up here from Wilson, North
Yay,
Carolina.
Wilson!
I am a photographer. I got involved with Eyes on Main Street right around the time it started 5 years ago. It started by the brain of Jerome Dieperling. He's a world-renowned portrait and documentary street photographer who somehow ended up here in Wilson. He's from Belgium, moved to Chicago, then moved here to Wilson, and he had this idea to put photographs outside on the street, on Nash Street or Main Street, and when Jerome has an idea, it's going to happen. So it happened, and I met Jerome, I got involved with Eyes on Main Street as a photographer. I had my work shown in the first 2 editions of the festival, And by the second year, Columbia College was here, and I kind of tagged along with them a little bit because anything photography in Wilson, I want to be a part of it. And Peter invited me to come back the next year, and I've been involved with the workshop ever since. And you know, I grew up here in Wilson. It's a small town. You know, it's not Chicago. It's not
That's
New
right.
York. It's
That's right.
so you know, being a kid growing up in Wilson, you know, people tell me you're not going to be a photographer in Wilson, and now all the photographers are coming here. So you know, being able to do something now, giving back to these kids, that giving them an opportunity that I never had is just, it's awesome. Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. I call you Ken, but you're not Ken. You have a real name. Go
I
ahead.
do have a real name. My name is Lisa Galtieri Alford. I am account manager with Canon USA out of New York. I got involved with Eyes on Main Street 4 years ago with the youth photo workshop. My job with Canon, I primarily work with higher education accounts, colleges and universities that have programs like photography, cinema, video, things like that. So I knew Peter, you know, because Columbia College in Chicago is one of my accounts. So when we were discussing ways that Canon helps support accounts in higher education, he mentioned the youth workshop to me in Wilson. And, you know, when he was telling me about it, I was like, you know, that's such an awesome idea. Like, what do you need from me to make this happen? And he said, you know, do you think that Canon can supply about maybe like 30 or so cameras for maybe about a week or so, and you guys can come down to North Carolina and help us teach these workshops? So I said, you know what, let's do it. So I was able to get Canon to supply all of the equipment that the kids use every year, as well as the printers and the ink and paper that we use to print the youth gallery. And then myself and another colleague will come down and help the Columbia and Wilson crew to teach the kids fundamentals of photography, run the printers, help hang the gallery, and kind of just make sure that the whole project goes really smoothly. And then what was your other question about what is Eyes on Main Street?
Yes.
So Eyes on Main Street, you know, is basically a sidewalk photo gallery that brings photographers from all over the world to the streets of Wilson, you know, to kind of bring the community together through art. And the youth workshop was started to, you know, really help, you know, bring the community together through the children, and, you know, through teaching them life skills, you know, like photography, and giving them, you know, a way to express themselves through art and creativity. So I'm a photographer myself. My background is photography. I have a BFA from Parsons School of Design in New York. And so, you know, it's something that's always close to my heart. And teaching photography is something that I also do as part of my job for Canon. Most of the time I'm teaching college kids, so being able to come to Wilson and teach kids, you know, from grade school through high school is definitely, you know, an awesome opportunity for me.
That is great. And listen, you guys are giants. You're so talented in what you're doing, and then at the same time you're giving that motivation and inspiration and knowledge to these kids who don't know yet that, you know, what their future is going to be. This is just a great thing. Eyes on Main Street has been a big hit in Wilson, actually. How could you miss it? You're just driving up and down the streets and you're saying, oh, look at that. Oh, and you never know, is this a picture from Wilson or is this some other place? And it's been very intriguing. I've noticed it, of course, ever since it got started. And we look forward to looking at those pictures. So that's really a great project. I'm going to turn to the students that you've been working with this morning and see what kinds of questions they may have for you.
What kind of pictures do you like to take? Like, what inspires you to take pictures? When you see something, what makes you want to take a picture of it?
Oh, good question.
That's a good question. I love the question, by the way.
I do too.
It's such a fundamental question to what we do, right? I think for me, what attracts me to the pictures I make are personal narrative, and what I mean by that are like the circumstances in which I was raised. Like, that's really important to me, and to make work about the communities and the people that live in those communities. I'm a first-generation immigrant. I was born in Colombia and I was raised in Patterson, New Jersey. And that really heavily influenced the types of pictures that I would eventually go on to make, right? And so I think space and place is important to what I do.
So when you say these are the pictures that influence this experience, your life experience influenced the picture. So we don't have a collection or an exhibit. So describe some of the pictures that really stand out to you.
So the pictures that stand out to me are, well, I'm very big into the type of light, you know, right? Because I think about the painters and the photographers that really influenced me. And Goya and Rembrandt are two heavy influences, right? And Courbet is another one. And so it's a lot of working class people, really predominantly, you know, Latino and other people of color are very heavily featured in the work that I make.
Okay, great.
Do you guys only go around just to help like other children for fun? Or like, do you guys sometimes are solo photographers and take pictures for yourself?
Yeah, we all have our own personal photography practice.
Yeah.
So we all have different, like I'm more of a landscape photographer, but I love portraiture. But my personal practice influences when I walk around with kids. I take kind of the same approach. I'm more regimented when I photograph. Of like, I find a space or place is really what I like to photograph. I'm from a small town just like Wilson, military town, so all of my work is like influenced by that environment and the culture that surrounds it. So my work is, especially coming into communities like this, is like how I was always told what was I found special about me and how could I photograph that. For me, as someone that was like, oh, you're from a military background, I was like, actually no, I grew up African American in a very small town and female, identified female. So I use that in other aspects of my life. Like, so when I'm teaching, I try to figure out who am I talking to? I'm like, what's your background, and how can you bring that out? Because I think that is imbued in every single image we make. So you can see a picture of, like, there's photographers coming here, they may take that same picture, but all those things, your age, how you grew up, working class, those are all in those pictures.
Yes, I hear you. Can I just make a statement and you have a question? That's so interesting, I think, for the students to hear that, because we take our early childhood lives for granted. We sometimes don't think a whole lot of it. Sometimes it's not the happiest time of our lives, you know, our early. So I'm saying to you guys, you know, pay attention and notice and take note of, log things, journal your lives. Journal your lives even at this age, because if photography becomes your profession, you're going to draw back. You're going to, what they're saying, and I don't know, you're going to reach back, and the life that you've lived in little old Wilson would most likely influence the things that are that you're attracted to as a photographer. Does that make any sense? Am I making myself clear? Because that's what they're saying. They are saying that, and I'm just trying to interpret that and reinforce that back with you.
Yeah, and also I want to mention on that, another misconception people have is that you have to go to school to be a photographer. You have to become a professional photographer to be a photographer. You can be an accountant and a photographer. You can be an architect and a photographer. Whatever you want to do in your life, you never have to give up photography.
Wow.
You don't have to make any money at it.
Yeah.
You just do it for you. If you're doing it for you, then that's all that matters.
That's good.